Guru Kripa Kevalam. Namaste and welcome everyone to Satsang today. Sadguru Shri Moji Baba ki Jai. Barely see anything. So Satsang is a strange sort of environment where the teacher requests attention but not conceptual understanding. Which is strange, no? Because usually they pay attention and try to understand to the best of your ability. But here I'm saying, try to. And many of you will go to sleep, of course, but try to pay as much attention as possible. But see if you can meet my words without too much conceptual understanding. Because often I've seen that there's a translation that happens with the constructs that we already have, and when the words come in, then sometimes we feel like, where do I really put them? So we feel like I have to put them into those molds which I already have. And because in humanity we have so much confirmation bias, we just feel like, okay, now this is good stuff because, I've already thought of this before. So that's why it is good. But something which is fresh, it just feels like, no, I don't know if I like that. So we don't need that process actually, because what I'm speaking of is much more direct, much more hopefully apparent than needing any conceptual filter for you to really make sense of it. So we don't need to go back with the sense of I attended Ananta Satsang and these are the 3 points that I really understood. If that happens organically, it's completely fine. But the attempt is not to gather, it's not to really, because we're here for a short time, so how much can we really understand? So in that way, it's not a traditional classroom. I would value your attention, and if I can lead you to some direct insight intuitively rather than conceptually, that is the whole point of being here in some way. Of course, along the way, you don't have to push anything away. So you will find something which you may say, that's nice. That's a nice pointer. I can keep that. And that's all right. But the whole game is not just mental note taking. So just naturally with as much attention as you can muster, and in a way allow me to do the rest of it. Guruji often calls satsanga mind bypass, trying to bypass the mind and meet each other as one in some way. So that's the attempt. So no personal intervention can help that process of meeting as one. As relaxed as possible and yet attentive in some strangely zen way. Okay, so there's some hands up already, so let's see what happens. Let's go to Mahesh.
Hello.
Namaste.
Namaste.
But this is not Mahesh. Where is Mahesh?
Yeah, this is why I have come forward, because last night I looked in the mirror and I didn't identify with who was looking back, So
It is weird.
And it's not just the beard, Yeah.
Okay, don't want to know that. You can text me privately about what else is going on.
Come on. Hey, you know what I mean. Well, maybe you don't, I don't know. Just that, like when I looked in the eyes in the mirror, it wasn't me.
Yeah.
And when I was just looking at everybody in Satsang, and some happy thoughts came, some feelings of enjoyment came. There was no I enjoying them, So and as I say this, some kind of feelings of being lost and confused and unknown, and this kind of fear and even things like, oh, loneliness, because like so all, and kind of this emotion as well of like of fears wanting to come, all of this is kind of arising. Yeah, so I just felt to check in, uh and even saying that I felt to check in is like a story of it just doesn't feel as real, you know.
Yes. Yes.
um but it's what's being said, so I don't know. So yeah, it was really just to kind of to present and to meet and to connect and whatever words, and there's it's almost like a fear of disillusionment, but also a hope for disillusion. No, no,
Yes.
not disillusionment.
Dissolution.
Like a dissolving dissolution.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So like a fear of dissolution, but also a hope for dissolution. It seems that they're both are playing at the moment.
Yes.
Mm.
This is good. Thank you. Thank you for this report. It really helps to set the context for this satsang, and hopefully we'll meet in this uh, possibility here. So uh, some wobbliness, some fear is very natural. You see, because as we were being fed the conditioning, as we were being fed the identity with our mind and through parents and society and all of that, the whole idea was you need this stuff so that you can run your life, so that you can be in a better way, you can exist in a way that is meaningful, productive, is useful. So now as you're discovering the this pure joy of being, and actually at the heart of that pure joy of being, there's no lack of intelligence. It is not as if that being is just being, but it's being super dumb or something like that. It is all the intelligence of this universe actually comes from there. It's what makes the flowers bloom and the heart beat. So so as we are meeting this universal intelligence, you see, but we are letting go of just our ideas of what is and what we should be doing and what is right and what is wrong, which actually make up the construct of what we call me, because there is no me without these notions and without these ideas. You see, so as we are letting go of the notion of ego, the notion of separation, then as the switchover is happening and before we've completely learned to trust the intelligence of our beingness itself, the mind can play this trump card saying, but you're so lost. This can't be freedom. You see? You're just so in limbo. You're in this sort of conceptual emptiness, which to the mind is very scary. You see? But actually, it is very beautiful because you're meeting yourself as pure being, as consciousness. You see, in such a tangible, in such a beautiful, and yet non-perceptual way. You see, so so full blessings for that. And as empty as you can be to trying to derive any meaning out of this, including any meaning coming from the words that I may be sharing, you see, um, except like a mild reassurance that things are good, you're going well, you see, that is the intent. But if you try to construct a new construct about what is happening to you see, then that will become the birth of a new me, because in meaning there is a me hidden. So so what does this mean that all this is happening to you? Does this mean that I am becoming free? You see? And if we come to those conclusions, or even that I am dissolving, then if we come to those conclusions, then who would they belong to, and which identity would they be pointing at? You see, so we are not trying to come from being somebody who is bound. Actually, the one who is bound doesn't really exist. To somebody who is free, because the somebodyness is not freedom; is the very bondage that we started this journey to see through, to transcend. You see? So yes, just, and this is where trust and devotion can come in. The antidote to this fear, which the mind can create, the antidote to this fearfulness or wobbliness, is just love and devotion and trust. So just trust grace, trust the master, and you'll see that all this little popcorn jumping around is not that strong or that important, and it is just many times just a distraction mechanism. Very good, very good.
I don't know if I need to say this next thing, but may I say it anyway?
Of course, my dear.
There's an idea that seems to kind of be a strong idea, that I need to have a conceptual framework in order to be able to navigate relationship, job, life, the world. And I just pray that is seen through, and you know, if you know, or whatever, you know, if something needs to happen with that it happens with it, you know.
Yes, thank you for exposing that in a way. We've had a conceptual framework since we were 3 years old. Since we were 3 years old, we've had language and concepts about meaning and what all of this is. You see? And yet, when we look back, and you talked about relationship. So when we look back, we just find that, oh, I just happened to meet my partner in some way which was not part of our conceptual framework. I just happened to meet my master in a way which was not planned according to my conceptual framework. And not just about relationship or meeting the master, but most things we look back and say, I just happened to be there. And he said, do you want to work with me? Or, so all these things happen when we look back, you see. So our conceptual framework, which we have carried since we were very, very young, has played very little part when we look in hindsight, you see. But because there is fear about what will happen in the future, so we feel like we need to rely a lot on that in the future, you see. But in the past, most of us, especially in satsang, are willing to admit that had very little. I just happened to be at the right place at the right time, or the wrong place at the wrong time, whatever it may be. You see? So we are willing to accept grace when it comes to the past. But because there's a feeling of loss of control when it comes to the future, then we feel like, okay, but I need this to navigate my relationship. But we've used this to navigate relationships since we were very young. And how well that has worked is up to you to determine. You see? So since look at this as an experiment then, and say, okay, I've experimented that way. Now can I experiment this way? But the problem with this experiment in this way is that if you start the experiment with an expectation of an outcome, then you're still attached to the conceptual framework. You see? So be truly open and empty is to just allow and see whether actually we become as vegetative or non-responsive or closed as the mind would have us believe. It may actually be the other way around. But again, I don't want to create any expectations by saying that.
Yeah. Fear of the unknown. So much love.
Thank you. Love you too, my dear. Okay, let's go to Amol.
Namaste, Ananta.
Namaste, my love.
Bit under the weather, and I wanted to be there, but wanted to stay away as well.
No worries, that's fine.
And some observation, Ananta. Last couple of satsang has really pulled the rug, especially that whack-a-mole guy one.
Yes.
And it was always the guy who is pushing, right? It was very subtle to get and see that.
Yeah.
So really appreciate that. Thank you very much, Ananta.
So welcome. So welcome.
And
Can I just recap? Okay. Can I just recap this point, because it may be relevant for those who are hearing it for the first time, and then we come to your question. So, like last satsang or satsang before that, I sort of did a deep dive into the spiritual seeker itself, you see, and how that is as much the ego as every other identity that we have carried. But the spiritual seeker is very tricky, because it'll play with the conceptual knowledge of spirituality itself. And it'll be your checker guy saying, you're doing very well, you're getting this stuff, see how empty you are, and also beat you up and say, see, you're completely not worthy of freedom, because see how angry you're getting, or lustful you're getting, or whatever you're getting. It'll judge you on these kind of basis. You see? So what happens also is that, and that's how in a way I also started, is that this one, you see, then takes on the position of using the spiritual knowledge that it has to sort of beat up the ego. But it itself is the ego. That's why I called it the whack-a-mole guy. It's playing whack-a-mole, that game that kids play. So this becomes like our spiritual ego, and it becomes so aggravated because we feel like the more we listen, the more we understand, and the more we can spot the ego. You see? So what is happening is that I'm trying to do the mind bypass, but this guy comes in and says, yeah. So next time I'll take care of this, I'm not going to believe my next thought. I'm just going to chop it. And it's hearing all this instruction, but it's just elevating itself as the spiritual seeker or the spiritual understander or whatever, you see. And then what happens is, because it is built on the premise of knowing. So even if the master tries to talk to you and says, but can we look? Yeah, I have looked. I know. There's nobody here. I'm just the pure witnessing. I know. You see? But that guy does not smell like pure witnessing. But you will not be able to smell it. See? You will not be able to smell it because there's an attachment to the spiritual understanding. You see? So what happens is that most spiritual seekers in the world seem to be playing whack-a-mole with the ego itself playing whack-a-mole with itself, pretending to make spiritual progress, but actually just trying to come to some sort of elevated understanding of how to exist in this world in a better way. You see, because we tried everything else. We tried relationships and money and better body, so we feel like now let's try spirituality. That might make us happy. So, but the same one who wanted the other thing can also have this position of wanting the truth or reality. You can come there this side. So, that's an important point for us to note. So, are we listening so that now I can make my life better because I have spiritual concepts or spiritual so-called knowledge? You see, or are we listening to come to Atma Jnana or self-knowledge, which is beyond all perception and concept? So most of us actually don't feel like there's a third mode of knowledge, like perceptual knowledge. I see it, therefore I believe it. Conceptual knowledge, I may not see it, but I've been told by credible sources that the earth is moving so fast, this kind, or it's this spherical in shape, not this flat thing that I see. So we don't only rely on perceptual knowledge, we also rely on concepts from simply credible sources. So if I were to ask you, what else is there? What is your other way of knowing something? Because the sages have told us, no? You cannot know it as perception. All perception is false. It comes and goes. And you may think and think and think, but you will not get God as a product of thinking. You see? So that should be the starting point of our inquiry. If these two ways are not the way to God, then what is left? You see? What else do we have? So that is where the pointers come in. And so the sage may say, so how do you know that you exist? That you are here? And initially you may feel like, oh, I perceive the body. You see? But many times you may not perceive the body. And you just wake up. In that instant, the body sensation may not be that palpable for a moment. And yet you realize, I woke up. So whose existence is there? You see? And who witnesses the absence of the I amness and then the presence of the I amness? So a question like, that's why I call it the hammer, is the question of, are you aware now? If you really check, you will notice that you are not confirming your awareness through any perception. You cannot see it perceptually. Otherwise, it would have a quality. It would have some attribute. You see? But yourself, your nirguna self, is empty of all these attributes. And yet, it is possible to know, but impossible to know in the mind, and impossible to know as a perception. So, if once this point gets clear, and that's why I say it every satsang, you see, then the struggle of the spiritual seeker has no place. You cannot actually struggle to find the truth anymore. Because the struggle is only to try and look for something. Oh, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Or try to solve something. X plus Y plus A, B, C equals 3, something, something. You know, so you're trying to figure it out like that. Or you're trying to look for it like, I can't find it. I lost my specs. You know, but I just looked everywhere and I just can't find them. You see, you can struggle that way. What is another way to struggle with knowledge? Am I going too fast? Is there another way to struggle with knowledge? Like the notion of a spiritual seeker is basically a struggler, just trying to climb the mountain of truth till he reaches the pinnacle or she reaches the pinnacle of enlightenment, and then constant state of bliss will arise. This is the familiar narrative, isn't it? So, but what is the seeker using to seek the truth? What can the seeker use to seek the truth? Because perception they can't use, and mind they can't use. Then, what mode of seeking can we have?
The pointers from you and intuitive knowledge, or just the instinct, I guess.
Yes, but what does that lead to? So you hear a pointer like, "Can you stop being?" or "Are you aware now?" You see, and what do you do with that? See, what could you do with that? Like the traditional way of hearing a pointer is to say, okay, now this is it. I have to go here, and then I have to find this, isn't it? But are you aware now is not a question you can answer in time. You cannot say, okay, I'm going to find this out. So let me take the next 15 minutes and just, am I aware now? Where can I look? You see, it cannot be solved that way. It's either instant or it's not at all. You see, it's either before the instant actually, or it's not at all, isn't it? So if it takes time, we're not doing it right. I mean, I rarely say something like that, but we have gone down the wrong path. You see? So if you feel like a pointer like "Am I aware now?" is something that you can do, then you're mistaken about that. Because everything that you can do is in time. See? So it just has to either hit home like that, or you're just like visualizing, creating a dark empty space in your head and saying, that is awareness. Some idea. Is it? So how to meet the pointer which you hear in satsang, especially a direct one like that? There is no actual how to. There is no actual how to. The minute we come to the how to, we have already gone down the wrong path, isn't it? That's why I said the personal intervention will not help. Your attempt to grasp, it will not help. You see, just something has to be much more innocent and simple, simpler than that. Just like, are you aware now? Are you aware now? You see, you know this, but not here. You see, because your mind always needs time. But somewhere, like, do you exist? Do you exist? Mind say, I only know I exist because I could. That's already like in the story, it's too slow. You see, you already confirmed your existence. But because you don't find a reason, you see, you may need to go to the mind and say, how do I really know? You know because you're perceiving something. It's an old, like stale story. The confirmation has happened much fresher, much before that. You see? Are you with me on this? All of us? So if you can make it just simple like that, you see, then the only struggle left is what do I do without a struggle? You see, because the spiritual seeker is so used to struggling and seeking something. Like this child told me that ever since I was little girl, I've been seeking God. Now, for some time, she must be feeling like, now, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? So, the mode of knowledge that is being pointed to in satsang is intuitive intelligence. You see, Atma Darshanam, Atma Jnana, whatever self-knowledge, whatever we may call it. But it is not the mode of knowledge that we have used as humans traditionally in our life. You see? And it is not something fresh in that way that it's not been there, but suddenly after coming to satsang, it becomes available. But it is fresh because we learn to value this rather than what we have valued in the past. You see? You see? Because in the past, we've asked for evidence. Like somebody visited my house yesterday. Suppose we say Amitabh Bachchan came to my house yesterday. Then you say, okay, it's coming from me, so you may believe it, but not true, of course. But if somebody, your children or somebody tells you, really, show me photo. No, you want evidence, no? Perceptual evidence. Or show me, did he give you autograph? Show me. No? So we'll want some proof. Or I visited Timbuktu yesterday. So really, where's the photo? I saw in your Instagram. There's nothing. No? So without evidence, we don't buy it. But this, you can't confirm. You can't confirm through traditional means. Like Mahesh was saying earlier. Okay, now is this freedom? You see, there's fear. But am I getting free? Is this disillusion? Do I want to be free? You see, all this stuff starts. You see? So this is what the trick the mind will use with you and say, hey, okay, if you are aware now, then so what? Then so what? How is that helping your life in any way? You see? And it basically is saying, show me that some benefit, some evidence, some proof of your freedom. Look at Ananta, how he talks. You're not saying like that. You see, there must be some difference, isn't it? And what is the master saying? We are one, we are the same. You see? So these are the tricks of the mind, and I'm pointing them out so that when they appear to you, you recognize them and say, Father had said, that's a trick. That's a trick. Don't fall for it. Okay, so let's come back to Amol.
So, and even for the, I mean, I already you talked about it, the at the moment one and the last session when you were calling everyone now. So that that really helped in one way. Is my always struggle was it's easy to come there, but it was like struggling to stay there. But yes, after that session, after your last satsang, I realized there is no need for continuation because you can be there every other moment, coming back to it. And that is really, that really helped in last 1 week, and I'm trying to put it saying that okay, you be there in the moment, next moment, don't continue from there, you can be there again. And that's really helping.
So there's no fear of losing anything. There's no fear of losing that because you can see how natural it is. You see how natural it is to you're here just naturally actually. You see, to get caught up is more effortful. Even if it's okay. If it doesn't feel like that yet, it's fine. But you can see at least that it's always available. You see, because I don't have to time my click and say, now. It's not a Mahurat that I have to take. Like this is Rahu Kalam, so I can't click, or this is some other thing, so I can't do it. Any point you can find that you are free right here. You just exist effortlessly. God, which we are looking for, is just here. The presence of this being that we seem to be chasing is just so available as my very presence, as your very presence. And that which is the absolute is just simply aware even of this. It's unchangeable, unshakable, this recognition of reality. But God, or consciousness, has given to itself the power to take itself to be whatever it can fathom. So the mind is also obviously its own creation as part of the Leela, as part of this Maya. So when the mind is doing its job, proposing your limited identity, proposing you as somebody who's like some tiny object sitting in this object or some whatever the notion may be, you see, then adding on things like desire and doership to that fundamental notion. So these 3Ds then make this idea of me as an identity or the ego. But without that, you see, who has the tougher job? Right now you're free, no? So if the mind has a tougher job, but actually, but. It has to keep proposing proposals to you. Like Guruji says, audition for your attention and belief. You see, so it is the one having to do all the dance. But you as consciousness, you see, you have two modes of play. When you take yourself to be what the mind is proposing, then you play as if you're in hell. And then when you don't take yourself to be what the mind is proposing, you experience the openness of heaven. You see, both are here. So, so that's all that's really happening, or not?
Yes, and the seeker's identity is almost all the list is true. I could check every box you mentioned. Like you feel you are very close, and you try to ask questions like what next, or what is there for me, or so what, or keep on validating your progress. Those all
Yeah.
are 100% checked for me at this stage. So, well, yeah, that's the story now.
Yeah, when the mind just operates with these tools, you see, it has these primitive tools which tries to build a premise about you being this body mind which was born, which will die. You see, and then within that game it tries to propose how you should be, how you need to exist, what is better, what is freedom, what is love. It has no real answers to any of these. It tries to get you involved in trying to resolve the problem at the level of intellect rather than just meeting yourself in a more open, in an emptier way.
Thank you.
So welcome, I'm very happy to hear your report. Very good, very good.
We'll see you soon, personally.
Very good, very good. Thank you, thank you. Okay, let's go to Shivam. Namaste.
Namaste, beloved Father.
Oh, namaste, my dear.
Mwah.
Love you too.
Yeah, I wanted to ask for a pray
Your prayer,
because
yes.
yeah, because I have been checking the possibility to come to India,
Yeah.
but it seems that for now Italians are not allowed to come to India. Uh, yeah, the only way I could come is work reasons or something like that.
I
for
see.
now.
Okay,
Yes.
that's funny because we had a very sweet child from Germany who came and spent a couple of weeks here with us. So maybe within the
Yes.
EU they have some difference.
Yes. I've been checking, and some of the countries they can come easily, but some of them like Italy, they are not allowed right now. And so yeah, I wanted to to ask for you to pray and yeah, and let's see what happens.
Full, full prayers, full blessing, full love. Very good. Very
And the Father, and I wanted to keep checking with you. Uh, yeah, to keep checking what is here,
Yes.
what is here
Okay,
before thinking about it.
yes, yes. Let's see if we can check everything that I'm talking about. Okay, all of us.
Sorry.
Let's check if all of us can check and have a direct experience of everything that I'm really talking about. Because it's so much that I'm speaking of. So, so firstly, there can be this idea that, like most of those who come to satsang come because they are tired of suffering and they have an idea to be free from suffering. Now, let's check together whether, without taking a notion which is a mind proposition to be true, you see, without giving it the truth value, yes, you see, whether it is possible to suffer. Just right now, open and empty, naturally. That's God's gift to God. Then to suffer, you need to buy into a limited idea about yourself. So let the ideas come and let them go. See if it is possible to suffer without picking up an idea. Even if the idea is saying, oh, but the picking up happens automatically. Who is doing the picking up? Let those ideas also come and go. Try to suffer without a notion. Suffer notionlessly and sure. And don't just do it because the masters have told you. Like Papaji said, to be happy, you need nothing. But to be unhappy, you definitely need at least one thing. So don't rely on the words of the masters also. Check for yourself. Notionlessly unhappy. Suffering. I'm not talking about pain, by the way. Pain can exist naturally in the body. Try to suffer without an idea. Is it just difficult or impossible?
Is it
Suffering
possible?
without an idea?
Checking itself is a
So don't check. Checking also is an idea. Is it? But check. But look, let's put it like this. Just look. Who's been able to suffer notionlessly? I have to retire from satsang because then that is the fundamental of what I'm sharing. Clear? So do not give truth value or take the mind's version of what is to be true. You see, is freedom from suffering. As simple as that. Because without that version, you are not a limited entity. You are not something that can be attacked. You see, you are then what the scriptures are reminding you of, cannot be cut, cannot be burnt. You are that pure reality. So, uh, so this part is clear. Most are looking for end of suffering. The end of suffering is available right here, right now. Unless you buy into the notions of consciousness itself being held hostage to the mind and being forced to believe the mind. So that is uh, not your true seeing. That is buying a notion. There is nothing that can force God to believe the mind. So this is consciousness speaking with consciousness. You see, satsang is consciousness speaking with consciousness. That's why right in the beginning I said the personal intervention is not required. You just have to gently just pay attention. Everything else is fine. So, so this part is seen. Then we come to spirituality for uh, the direct insight into God. We've heard enough about God. You see, we've had experiences also in the past, but now we want to really meet God in some way. That is what the spiritual seeker, in some way, is also wanting. So, how to meet God? Just try to stop being. Don't be for a moment. See if you can stop being. If you don't exist anymore, raise your hand. It's clear that you exist. You see, it may not be clear to the mind, and don't worry about the mind's answer, but it's clear to you that you exist. So this being, this existence, is whose presence? Does it have a limitation, a boundary? Is it personal in any way? Does it have wants and preferences? Was it born? Notice that your existence, your presence, just is. It's already here. And this presence is whose presence? Is the only being actually. So if the only being, the greatest being is what we call God, then this is the only God. So there is no distinction, as Shankara told us, between Atma and Parama. This being itself is Atma, and there is no other Atma but this. So it is the Paramatma. So this is one being, Advaita, not two. So discover this very existence. Now, your mind only has one job, which is to convince this being itself that it is limited or personal. All its proposals are about that. All of its propositions, all of its conjectures, all of its projections are about that. So this is the highest vibration, the primordial Om, that you will meet in this cusp between unmanifest and manifest. There is your being, and everything that is manifest is this being itself, but not in a way that your mind thinks. So this can be said only intuitively. You see, because your mind's version of what I just said is like there's this space, but there's a super space within which this space exists, but both are spatial. But that's not true. You see, your being is beyond time and space, but that your mind cannot fathom. So those kind of things which you read in scriptures and from the mouths of the teachers are only from intuitive insight. And you have that intuitive insight as well. Because when you try to look for a limitation to this being, you won't find it. Although the taste of this primordial vibration may be in your heart region, or some of you may feel it in your head or wherever, that doesn't really matter. Is it? So the tasting of the presence of being may be localized, but that doesn't limit the being in any way. See? But can help the mind in some way to create the notion of you being something contained within this object made of food, which is ludicrous. So, but okay, now I'm getting into academic mode. So, but it's clear what I'm saying. So, the seeker's search or thirst or longing for God can be truly fulfilled in such a simple looking. Okay? So coming to spiritual progress is moving from complexity to simplicity, not the other way around. So I was telling maybe Jyotima one time that if you're already putting two variables, we've gone too far. Just keep it very simple. No, therefore this, therefore that, because that is using the intellect. Simply you are. You exist. And if existence seems elusive, try to not be. So this is being Shivam, you're with us?
Yes.
Yes, very good. Very good. Now, what is aware of this being? Is there somebody else aware and telling you, hey, your being is here? You exist, you know. You're not hearing these words. Or I am hearing them as some witnessing and I'm telling you about them. Is it like that? You are aware of the perception. Even the perception of what I've been calling the primordial vibration, you are aware of it, isn't it? Is it? But that which is aware, does it have even the most primal construct of being and not being? Okay, now that will take you to the intellect, so don't go there. Let's go back to the question: who is aware even of being? You are aware, but that you is prior even to the sense of beingness, independent, let's say, even of beingness. With me or no? Say no.
Get confused with this word beingness to try to stop it correctly.
Yeah. So beingness is just what we just discussed. Can you stop being?
It seems like the exercise of confirming your existence perceptually is the confirmation of what being is.
Yes, simpler than that. Can you stop being? You exist. No? Now, did you need the notion that I exist to confirm that? No. There was what that confirmed it? Like it's on the cusp of perception, but it's not really a perception, isn't it? So you can smell the fragrance of the presence.
Yeah.
You see, you can smell it. I mean, you can perceive it in some subtle way, but it's not like a perception like this. You see, that's why I call it in the cusp of the unmanifest and manifest. You see, so but that is enough. So now your mind will scream, no, I don't buy this. Because I have to see it clearly, otherwise how can you see? But if you saw it clearly, it would become a perception, and all perceptions are unreal. So it's not. So don't fall for that mind trick. With it. I don't know, man. Huh? Yeah.
Let's post this. One last question was a habit that's been here a long time on pacing true understanding of all the words that all the masters have said somehow, and that therefore know everything.
Wow. That's quite a project. To get a conceptual framework broad enough to contain all the words that all the masters have said, and therefore come to an ultimate understanding. But forget all the master. If you look at one master, you will see that all their concepts have neutralized themselves in their own saying. One day they will say you must do the inquiry. One day they will say you can't do anything at all. Forget about it. You see. So to build a conceptual framework truly, if you were to do it with full integrity, you will see that you get nowhere. Because a master who is sharing without cancelling or neutralizing his own words is not really a master. If he can leave you with a conceptual framework saying Brahman, Jagat, or Ishvara, Jagat, Jivatma, all this framework, and then doesn't chop it off for you, then he's doing you a disservice. So you can use the frameworks provisionally, but they have to also be cleaned up. So forget about trying to make for everyone. Even one master we can't do. So one child, I just started sharing satsang about 10 years ago, and she came and said, I've been studying Bhagwan for 20 years, but I'm so angry with him because everything he's ever said, he's contradicted himself. Said he's done his job very well. Because he doesn't want to leave you with branches of notion. He wants to leave you open and empty into true, intuitive insight. So before meeting Guruji, even I had this kind of projects where I would want to just make like a true conceptual framework from all Vedanta or something like that.
Just to make sure that this clear. There's always the need here that out of the mouth here must prove that what is happening here in Satsang is the neutralizing agent. Therefore, I know it.
Prove that what's happening in satsang is the neutralizing agent, and to confirm your knowledge of that with what you speak.
Yes.
Like, for example, what could you say? Because everything spoken from the mouth is a proposition again, no? So it cannot truly be neutral, just like a thought.
Just like shaking my head in confirmation of what you're saying itself is the ego confirming.
But I want to just say this to you, and I've said this often, is that don't be so hard on yourself. Just relax. It's my job, my problem. Just don't have to just even manage this.
Don't say yes to it. Don't want to that.
It is like as simple. The minute there's two variables, no? Just make it simple. I have to so that he can see. Forget it.
Science.
Yeah.
So in between, if should I say it or not? Okay. So the habit seems to be cause to bring some righteousness.
Yeah.
Because of the voice that's actually doing otherwise.
Yeah.
The voices are usually like from the voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Completely.
Of course, I believe this.
Of course. So that's how consciousness seems to be playing in this Maya and this Leela. First taking the voice of the delusion and the limitation to be true, and then getting some joy out of chopping it into bits and confirming its own or tasting its own freedom. So this being that is here, the fragrance of it or the presence of it is on the cusp between manifest and unmanifest, because you can say, of course, I can bring my attention to it. But if I say, What's its color? It may seem like some light or something like this, but those attributes are not so important because we can't really place it in the box of quality. Okay, so Shivam, go on mute. Okay, so now I've shown you, and because it is so simple, it may seem like, oh, it's not enough, but actually it's more than enough. Shown you how to come to the end of suffering, and shown you how to meet God. Okay? Even Vivekananda, when he went to his Guruji, Sri Ramakrishna, he said, "Can you show me God?" And all seekers in one way or the other have asked this question. And in this expression, it seems most natural to point in this way. Every master is pointing in their own way, and that's fine. So here it seems so uh, direct for this one to point like that. But you are here. Whose presence is this? The mind job is to convince you that it is your personal presence. You see, okay, this gives me another tip that I want to give all of you. Like many hear that we must get rid of the I. So the mind comes in subtly over there, the whack-a-mole guy, and says, this presence that you're experiencing is the I that you're meant to get rid of. See what a beautiful master stroke it is. That which you're longing for, it is made an enemy out of that only. And said, this is your personal I, you must get rid of that. You see, once you are rid of this, then you're free. But your waking state will not arise without that being. So you will never taste that concept of that freedom because it's always there. Then seekers then get frustrated and say, my I is still here, I is still here. I've tried to kill it, I've tried to inquire, but I am still here. But you are. You see, all of this is shining in the light of that I amness. So that is not the I that you're supposed to be free from. When that I am is taking itself to be I am something, it is the something that you have to chop away or allow it to dissolve or surrender or inquire into. Clear? We're just covering all the basics today so that, and there's nothing else actually, it's just different expression of the same thing. So just see that the presence here is not your enemy. It is the notion of I am something, the idea of limitation, which can be the root cause of all suffering. So, like that. Then, are you not aware of your being? You are. So, that which is aware, does it even have the perfume of being or not being? Like, is it different in sleep state or waking state? But don't go into speculation. Just intuitively some answer is there. Otherwise, forget about sleep state. That which is aware of being, does it even have the qualitative taste of beingness? Of course, the word being we could be using in a broader way that anything that is being. So then don't get trapped in that vocabulary thing. Okay? And that can cause some confusion also. But the way that we use it is to say we're talking about that which has this perfume presence of being, of consciousness as beingness. And then we get rid of the dictionary and we ask what is aware even of that, and whether that is dependent on some quality of beingness or not beingness. Is meaning? So let's come back. Let's come back to my daughter. Say hi to her. I forgot to send the car for. She must be a bit upset. She's not even coming. It's okay. So, you too. Very late.
No, I left an hour after everyone left.
I'm so sorry, maybe.
I'm guessing you saw mine.
No. Horrendous.
Worse than one. Worse than last one.
Are you talking to Anuya?
From Malay and then
Take it.
But at least I get lowest.
Okay.
Vibha got 6 on 42.
Always make it tough in the board.
Uh-huh.
Always make it tough in the board, yeah, so everybody studies.
No, it's just like...
I'm glad she didn't finish that sentence. Okay, so coming back, the sense of being is clear. Say, so that which is aware of this being, who is aware? Who is coming to this recognition that there is being here? Is your husband coming and telling you? No, it's you only. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I guess so.
Is it third-party information or is it direct?
No, definitely
It's
not.
direct. So that you, which is aware. So, okay, let me ask this another way. What is the difference between the two questions? Can you stop being and are you aware now? Can you look for a minute and see if something comes? Can you stop being first? Can you stop being? Now, if I say, are you aware now? Is it the same inside? How, when we say my beingness is here, I am, do you experience its presence in some way?
Maybe, yeah. Does the beingness have a quality of me as Shubham? A bit of
Not really.
flavor of that?
Not really. Unless the mind is convinced you that it does. That's what I was saying. It plays that trick with which is its only job. That pure being itself is already identification and you must get rid of that. So, okay, let's look this way. You're here, no, right now? Right now, right now. Are you Shubha right now? Right now, right now. Okay? Even to get your name, you need at least a moment. So, there's no Shubhaness in the being itself. The Shubhaness is learned knowledge and therefore stay knowledge. Is it? So, if you had amnesia suddenly, you could not forget to be, but you could forget your name, where you come from, all of those things. Isn't it? So, your being is just pristine, empty of that. So, if you had amnesia and I said, can you stop being? You would notice the being is here. But who that is, whether that is Shubha or Harish or I don't know, whatever, is not, like, I don't know. Isn't it? So your being is independent of any identification. Just naturally. Isn't that itself so amazing? That in this moment, you may be the most identified so-called sinner in the universe, but in this moment, you are as pure as God itself. So beautiful. So time doesn't have anything to do with this discovery. Now, you are aware of your existence. Isn't it? That you which is aware, does it have like this, even this qualitative sense of existence or non-existence?
I don't find really.
Yes, but in what way don't you find it? This is a very good point actually. So the sense of being you find in some sort of tangible way, at least there's a perfume of the presence. So it seemed like in some way perceptible. But we started with this conversation by saying that the truth is beyond perception and it is beyond intellect, mind. Is it? So that is exactly what you're saying actually. There's some background noise. Just mute everyone. You see? So what you're saying is that, of course, I am aware of my being, but I can't find this I, which is aware of me. You see? So that is it. That is actually the whole spiritual conundrum in that one statement. You see? Because what you mean when you say I can't find it is that you can't perceive it. Isn't it? But if you were to perceive it, then it would become another object in your perception. So it would not have the same value. And yet, you're able to confirm, I am aware. what is that means of knowledge with which you can confirm that? And that will seem very alien in the beginning. And that is the only shift that we are talking about. You see? So usually the answer I get to that is just like that. I don't know how I confirm it. So that just like that I don't know how I confirm it is your intuitive insight. Easy. Because otherwise it would become another perception. And every perception comes and goes. If the self was to come as an experience, then the self also would be objective. Then it is as much perception as anything else, like an ice cream or something. It's like you can have a sweet taste, but it's going to go. It's going to melt away. So, so this is so beautiful because you cannot take your mind there, isn't it? Where the mind is like, what did I see? What is happening here? You see, these will be the complaints. Show it to me. What is your experience? No? It's not an experience in that way because it's not phenomenal. You see, it just, of course, I am aware. But this I, how can I say of course? This is the only thing you can confirm like this. You see? Everything else you can confirm with quality. What are these? Glasses. What is this? Phone. Because you can see the shape, the color, the size. But for awareness, I am aware. Okay, see it?
When you ask the question,
Yeah.
are you ever after answering yes and feeling like it's coming from a deep place?
Wait,
Whether-
forget about the after because I know what is coming after will be in time and therefore mine. And I know he's not liking my response because he's like, I really want to talk about the after. Okay, talk. Yeah.
So the question comes like, how do I know if the mind is being pretty quick and answering?
Because it needs an after to even propose this. Hey, right now, what's your problem? Right now. If I don't give you time, like mind needs time for construction activity. You see? The truth is always there. What is, it's already stale stuff. So don't worry about where the words of the confirmation are coming from. Like, yes. It's not about that, yes. It's about what do you check on in a way? What do you recognize? You see, even if you said no, makes no difference to me. You see? Because it's not about that. You could speak in some other language and say whatever, it makes no difference. But what did you check when I asked you, are you aware now? You see, you went to a unique place, which is out of this universe. Because everything in this universe is in time and space, has a quality, has some shape, size, duration. But that awareness, are you aware now? Where can you meet it? Has it got any shape? Like this world, everything has shape. So this question is a spaceship out of this universe. Instantly out. It's a teleporting machine. Okay? So for a while, it can seem very confusing. Like, of course, I'm aware, but I didn't see anything. I was expecting fireworks. I was expecting the Virat room. For the mind, कुछ नहीं मिला यहाँ तो. It's like, but I didn't find anything there. It's so empty. It's not true because the mind's version of this awareness is like a dark, empty place or something. You see? Just empty everywhere. You see, but then we don't need to do all that. Just close you in that dark room and say, okay, meet away. It's not that. So don't fall for any visualization. Find out who is aware even of that dark, empty space. Whether that itself is dark. Because even dark is perceived. Presence or absence of light are both perceived. Yes. So that intuitive knowledge, which your mind is completely confused about and saying, but is this really true? Of course it's true. I say, who's looking at this hand? You'll say, I am. You not say, oh, my neighbor is telling me. So that which is aware of even the perception of sight, that is what you are. And you know this so naturally, so originally. It is an unshakable knowledge with a capital K that you have. You see? And it is independent of whatever the mind may be screaming right now. You see? And that is the self-knowledge. That is Atma-Gyan. Now, if you did not want to use it in any way, like if it did not have to bring any benefit to you, see, then you're free. But mostly what happens is the mind comes in and says, oh, you had self-recognition. Okay, let's see. Now, see, your anger is still there. Or see something. Like, still you want something. You see? That should be gone if you were free. So we'll use that. So I have nothing against desire. But the desire will be used by your mind as a benchmark to tell you that you are not free. And you're back into that mold of the separate individual grasping for freedom. So if you did not want to see any byproducts in the manifestation of your recognition of yourself as awareness, nothing can trip you up. Usually the butt comes and says, but Ananta, come, there has to be some difference between you and me now. You see, I'm saying, no, we are one. They say, no, but I can't talk like that. Or some rubbish like that. It doesn't really matter. And maybe that's just an expression of some sort of like spiritual desire or something like that. So, where we sort of visualize an end game, which would truly prove our freedom. But there's no, like every expression goes differently. Or the most popular one, because of the term that should have been left at Satchit and not Satchitananda. But where's the Ananda? and I can tell you that the Ananda of the non-manifest, non-separable reality is higher than any Ananda in this manifest creation. Papaji pointed to that when he said that it could be your wedding night, you could be in the arms of your beloved, but when sleep calls and you just prefer sleep over everything else and you want to sleep. Because what do you experience in sleep? Pure nothingness. So that is Brahmananda. That is Brahmananda, the Ananda of Brahman. You see? But what we are chasing is the Ananda of this world. So that's why that Satchitananda, they're talking about Brahmananda, the Ananda of Brahman or reality, but we feel like Ananda of eating a chocolate or drinking some juice. Pleasure, like pleasure in a way, yeah.
Little slow on the beingness. Can we
Yes.
talk a little more of that? I mean,
Yes.
it comes as a whole beingness, it comes as a whole stone. It's like
As a whole
package. I don't know what beingness is. How can I recognize it?
Yeah. Okay, let's look at it on the whole.
Simple English or probably Hindi.
Let's try simple English, and if you're stuck somewhere, we'll go to Hindi. So, just but you have to meet this with as much innocence as you can muster. If your spiritual knowledge comes into the play, then it'll go in the same direction. So, just right now, you are sitting on that couch. Yes. So, if you were to forget about the sitting part, you would exist independent of the sitting, isn't it? So that existence is being.
Is there a quality to that? No.
It's like
there.
Yeah, like that.
Only there I can define.
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
It's there. It was there.
Yeah. Now, good with this? Okay. Now, that which is aware even of this, even this quality of here-ness or there-ness, whatever you want to say, you see, does that have a quality of here-ness or even there-ness or here-ness? Now, that is your most primal self. Because even beingness, this quality of here-ness and there-ness goes. But this, which is aware, does not come and go.
When you ask question, I'm aware.
Yeah.
Somehow it is easy to report. I'm aware, yes.
Yeah.
But when you say,
Okay, what makes it easy? Let's go slowly.
right,
So,
I
what
don't have
makes
to
it
check.
easy?
It's that, I mean,
It's timeless. When you say I don't have to check,
there is no test for it.
there's no test for it. Is there anything else like that?
No.
No, this is the only thing, no? Non-thing. Really, the only no thing which
But
we are
when
able
you
to
ask me
confirm
to
that.
check whether who is aware of that beingness.
Okay,
it's
forget
a
that.
struggle for me.
Forget that question. Are you aware now, Isli?
Yeah.
And can you stop being Isli?
No.
Okay. Then, but we just check.
No. I wanted to say yes, but
Yeah.
sorry.
It's okay. So, let's keep these two. Forget about who's aware of being.
It becomes too much construct for
Too many
me.
variables.
Yeah,
Yes, I understand. It's fine. So you're not missing anything then. It's good.
So,
Who is the one that wants to own this?
who's the one who wants to own this knowledge?
Yeah.
No, I mean, actually, let me expose that. Probably that was only the testing factor that I always wanted to check whether am I free.
Yeah. But I who?
The one who was always free. So, I could,
Then what happened?
Relate to it when gussa chala jana chahiye. You should be never angry, but
Yeah. This
when
kind
you
of
are angry,
benchmarks.
you're angry and you're free at the same time.
Now you become Zen. Now. We can switch to Zen mode from Advaita.
But already is enough. I'm just kidding, but that burden of being free has actually,
You're doing well.
so now I can relate that.
The only, in a way, difference between Advaita and Zen that I have found, I'm nobody to comment on these things, but is that Advaita tries to make a friend out of the intellect and say, let's look this way, then let's look this way, then look this way. Where Zen will just like chop this intellect aside, you can't look that way, so let's go quickly beyond that. What is the sound of one hand clapping? And you have to just meet it without time. If you give it to your intellect, one hand, it can clap, then gone. Like we need another koan or a stricter master. Stick to Zen. But actually, both leading to the same discovery in different methods, and there's no hard and fast like that. I'm sure there were many Advaita masters who used tactics which could be called very Zen, and many Zen masters who would have pointed in a sort of neti way to look at this.
I heard some story from Osho by Gurdjieff, for Gurdjieff.
Nice.
When the students were sitting and eating, and he just slaps them.
Oh.
And then said, stop there. And see who.
Are you feeling happy or disappointed hearing that story? Like, why is the master not like that?
Without that, I'm getting slapped. Okay.
Yeah, it's good enough. Without that, I've been given labels like the butcher of Bangalore or the smiling axeman and all these. Imagine if I started carrying a Zen stick. Okay, but coming back to this thing, it's naturally apparent. Better. Hands, hands, hands. I see so many hands. But what is left for the hands to ask? Okay, there's a sound of one hand clap. Okay, let's go to ones I haven't met before. Let's go to there's a Meera here. Can we go to Meera first?
Yes.
Yeah.
Namaste. I cannot hear you.
I'm not saying much. How about if can you hear this?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
So I think my topic is completely different.
Oh, I see. But the only one thing that I'm selling in this shop. I have no other goods. Okay, let's hear, my dear. Let's hear. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. What about attachment? I'm too much attached with my mother and brothers. Wherever I go, it's tough for me to be away from them.
Why is it?
What should I do?
Why is it restricting your movement in some way, or what happens? Because you're attached to your. It's natural, no? Brother and mother, you will be attached. It's fine.
Whatever, it's like whatever I'm doing, wherever I go,
Yeah.
they are like calling me, or I want to be around them. I want to know what they are doing. I know it's not good for me.
It's okay.
They
It's
are
okay.
different, and Meera is different, but it's like they are hurdle on my journey.
Acha. So right now, in this very moment, are you attached?
No.
No. So you're free, no? Then some moment will come where you remember them and you can call them. It's okay. What's wrong with that so much? Because we've heard in spirituality many times that, oh, every attachment has to go, then you can be free. But to get rid of attachments becomes a main attachment for us.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So you be free from that attachment to be free from attachment first. Because I don't feel like
I'm not getting.
Okay, let me try to say this another way. If you were not bothered that you are attached to your brother and mother, then you would be much freer already. Yes, you would be much freer already, isn't it?
Yeah.
So enjoy that freedom first.
We are free. It's nothing about freedom.
Then what is it about?
But there
Why do you want to be empty?
Something which keep me attached. Like I want to go somewhere else, but they are like pushing me back with them.
But then how are you free?
I'm not free in that way.
Are you talking about like going to some place that you want to go, but they don't want you to go? Then what is this place you want to go?
I don't want to go anywhere.
Then what are they holding you back from?
There is something inside. I don't know what's that.
Let's look. No, let's look, because first we have to identify the enemy before you can shoot it. Because if the enemy is afraid, that you don't want to shoot that.
Yeah.
So the ego will work in shadows. You see, it'll say, I don't know, but kuch to hai, you know, like that. But then you shine your light fully on it, and there is nothing in the world that can escape the light of consciousness. And you are that light of consciousness. So don't allow it to do this kind of subtle tricks on you. Find out. If there's something bothering you, what is it? What is it that you want that is being stopped?
This is what I'm looking for. I don't know what's the name of that thing, which is like they are like honey and I am the bee. Or I should say they are flowers. I feel
Yeah.
like they are flowers and I am bee and I'm going there to take honey.
Okay. So they give you
Are
joy.
you getting?
They give you joy. Your family gives you joy.
No. Everything gives joy.
What if you don't have a problem at all, but you're only thinking
They
that
are
you?
problem for me actually, or I think I'm problem for them.
That they will solve when they come to satsang. I am trying to get to what is your problem.
They are not coming to satsang.
Yeah, then they're fine. They're not suffering enough.
I know they are suffering a lot.
But not enough to come to satsang. No, you suffer enough. You come to
Maybe.
satsang.
Actually, my mother cannot understand English. That's why she is not coming in satsang. Otherwise,
Is
she heard a lot about it.
वो किसी और को गुरुजी को सुनती हैं फिर हिंदी में?
Osho.
हाँ, so that's good enough. So she is in satsang. I'm not saying go
Yeah.
to satsang with Ananta. So right now, do you have a boundary, a limitation of any sort?
No.
So that which is without any boundary, any limitation. Limitation itself is attachment, isn't it? So you're empty of all these conditions till the mind pokes you and says, ha, but you still have this problem, you have to fix it. Without the mind, what are you?
Nothing.
In a bad nothing, or is it a good nothing?
Neither bad nor good.
That's it. Very good. So stay there. What is the weather like now?
Weather? Too cold.
So suppose, as I know this is the first time we are meeting like this, but suppose as my Guru Dakshina for this conversation, I wanted every thought that troubles you to be my problem. Every thought that troubles you. Yes. Suppose as Guru Dakshina for this conversation only, because I'm very greedy here, I wanted every thought that troubles you to become my problem. To become my problem and not your problem. Could you give me this, Guru Dakshina? Yes.
Yes.
Very good. Very good.
What should I do? I feel like I'm lost.
वो किसका प्रॉब्लम है? Everything that troubles you is now my problem. No?
But you are not suffering. So this body is
I'll suffer.
suffering.
I'll suffer. If your problems are that big, I will suffer for you. Yes, but you don't suffer.
No, nobody should suffer.
You don't worry about that. You don't worry about that. Can you hand it over or no? That is the main question.
Yes.
Yes, yes. That's all. You chill, relax, go, do whatever. All problem, Ananta's problem. Yeah. You didn't realize I'll ask for such a big Guru Dakshina if you come one time.
Sometimes I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. Is it right or wrong? I know nothing is right and wrong. I am making the things right or wrong, but is it okay where I'm going? I don't know.
If the thought troubles you, it is my problem. If you find joy in it, you can keep.
There's no joy or problem. There's nothing like joy or problem.
Then you're fine, then you're free.
It's easy right now. Like right now, you are saying be free. It's be free. It's your freedom. This and that. But later on,
Later on
I
is
feel
whose
like
problem?
everything is around me, and they are pushing me here and there. And
किसका प्रॉब्लम है?
मेरा
कैसे? गुरु दक्षिणा में क्या दिया फिर? दे के वापस ले लिया? हैं? Can you give it
what
or no?
should I do?
Give it all.
Yes.
Yes, then just give it. This is the quickest way to help you. You see? Everything else will take more time. But if you can just hand it over, all that troubles you in any way, whether now, future, whenever, then see what happens.
Is it something to give and take?
Yes. तभी तो गुरु दक्षिणा बोलते हैं.
How?
So how does that? Okay, let me explain to you how it works. Okay, so the mind will come and tell you, but this thing, whatever, future, where am I going? What about my brother and mother? So when you notice it is trying to trouble you, you say it is Ananta's problem. Why are you coming here? That's all. It is not you to solve anymore.
Yeah, I'll do that. And at that very moment, everything will be like, okay, everything will be fine. Later on,
और
I
क्या
have to
चाहिए?
remind me again and again. Why this is happening, that we have to remind ourselves again and again that stop it.
Because we have reminded ourselves of the fall so much. So we have to now remind ourselves of the true little bit. How many years you remind about the falls? how many years, and we don't even know how many lifetimes. No? But now, if I say, okay, now it's not long time homework. Say for 2 weeks you do like this. When the mind tries to trouble you in any way, you say it is Ananta's problem. मेरे को छोड़ दो उसके पास.
Then everything will be gone for that moment only.
Yeah. So that's good enough. No? Rather than being troubled for that moment, you're okay for that moment.
But next time I have to remind myself again that stop it, Meera.
Not stop it, Meera. Ananta's problem. We can only be free moment to moment. The mind says, I should always be free. But in that notion of always being free, it is keeping you bound.
Yes.
So forget always. Always is my problem.
I'll do that.
Very good. Very good. Surrender is the easy road sometimes.
Thank you so much. I'll practice this again and again.
Yes. And then when you come next time, you can report and say, this happened, that happened. Yes. All my love, all my blessings. Let's go to who haven't I spoken to in a while? Let's go to Zoki. I haven't spoken to her in a bit. Namaste. Very good, my dear, very good.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes, my dear, I can hear you well. You're very welcome.
Thank you so much. There is so much love, so much gratitude.
So welcome, so welcome.
all is clear, so clear. There's one thing which comes sometimes, and it is when you say that all we perceive it's consciousness self, like that what we are, and this is also clear. But one thing is about everything what is perceived outside, like on this side of the earth.
Yeah.
How is that meant that this is me? Is it meant by because I'm here, it is here? So, and when I'm not here, it's not here. So this is could be one, or is it like the matter even also made out of this, which is actually, it has no form. It has so how can this be then? This side be the just actually no.
Good. So let's look together, but we have to look for a moment without the mind. Let's look without any intellect, any inference, no molecules, no therefore, no but, nothing, and just go to our intuitive insight. You see how to go to intuitive insight? Just let the mind come and go is to go to the intuitive insight. It's not a place you can go to really. It is just letting go of the false is enough. Now, if there is an answer coming from there, then you can report that or just look at that. If there is no answer, there is no rush. Because these are intuitive insights which are shared. But there must be no pressure to try and, okay, my freedom will be complete only if I can also see it that way, or some idea like that. You see, but empty of the mind, see if there's a sense about this. Is there any separation or duality? Is there any division of any sort? Simple like that. So welcome. So welcome. That's very good. That's very good. Because what happens in the mind's representation is that when we say, how can I see that I am not separate from everything else? You see, what it's already proposed is you as this body. No? You see, so then trying to make this body the same as everything else is impossible. And it'll say, see, but you're not. These molecules different, that molecule. So is it saying that the light is the same, therefore we are the same? So it's all intellectual sort of inferences. But when we drop that, what is apparent? The highest spiritual truths to the mind are just our obvious kindergarten stuff to the heart. So that is the only shift that is needed, if at all. We were just talking about something similar thing. It could be a bit entertaining, so I'll share. So we were talking about Yoga Vashisht the other day, and how there were notions of, multiple worlds and universes, and then all of this stuff. And then we were just making comparisons with this new notion of metaverse, where computer programs could have these mini universes where you buy a plot of land or you build a house and you interact with others. So, so it's like the sages were talking about all of this stuff, and technology is just about catching up with this kind of thing. But the ability of consciousness to project for itself and experience itself in so many ways, in dreams, in waking, in simulation, and now virtual reality, augmented reality, what, you see. But it's all, the basis is the consciousness. No? Without that consciousness, there's no question of any experience of any sort. So, but it's so beautiful that the sages were able to just from their intuitive insight, talk about all of these things. Like the triviality of the nature of so-called reality and how there could be universe upon universe and thousands and millions of universes. So where does all that insight come from? It's not like a committee of sages sat together and say, must be many universes. No, can't be. It can't come from there. It has to be from a deeper place, which realizes that. So when Ashtavakra wrote those lines, which I often refer to, I say, he said, you are the boundless ocean in which the arcs of the universes come and go. You see? How? Without, in those days, no technology, nothing. No? But look at this, be able to look at this perceivable manifestation and see that it's nothing for the reality of what I am. And so many of these have been experienced but I am the substratum of all of that. You see? So only from our intuitive intelligence can all of this be really confirmed and clarified. So the oneness of reality, see, this trips up many of us. So this is a very good conversation because this, like, we feel like I'm not free till I see I'm the same as that chair. But I am the same as that chair is what? The body is the same as the chair? No. So, but in that reference, we are trying to conclude that. You see? So if we drop the body reference, then where are you to confirm your oneness with everything else? If you drop the body reference, then what are you trying to confirm the oneness of what with what? Not possible. So in that way, it is neither one nor two. So it's not applicable in reality. The notion of duality is not that there's no duality, there is oneness. You see, it is that it is not applicable at all. The question itself is not applicable. But we get stuck in that idea of trying to, and then we might feel like, no, I have to love everyone like that, and you see this kind of thing. But I don't feel love for that one, so I must not be free. Something like that. Some ideas like that can come. You see? Rather than worrying about those outcomes, just stay in the discovery of what you are, in the insight which you're being pointed to, and then the beauty of intuitive insight is that it's not as if some mystery will be left for you. You see, for your mind, this will become a ever-deepening mystery, but for your heart, everything is clear. You see, it's always clear. So it's only the only error is going to the wrong instrument for the answer.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Welcome. So welcome.
This goes straight in my mind bypass.
Very.
Thank you.
All my love. All my love. Love you too. Okay, another one I haven't spoken to is Subhash.
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaste, my dear.
Can you? Yeah, so I just wanted to have one question which is troubling me since long time. I mean, I can, and recently I have also put it into the Facebook group. Like we can see, I mean, resemble. I am taking it from the bird resemblance. Like I'm able to the bird example which Moji Baba has given often. So I truly resemble with the first word, which is very obvious. And when I observe myself, it is very clear that the second word is also there.
Yes.
And when I am talking to you, I can watch the awareness.
Yes.
But then if I look inside me, I don't find myself. There is some talk is going on, and there is no one to see that. I mean,
Okay.
but then when I want to be at that position, it doesn't last. I mean, it comes and goes, but it doesn't be there at that position.
Okay.
So looks like, I mean, my journey towards kind of a stuck. It feels like I am there only. I mean, it's either not moving. I don't know.
Okay. Let's see. Let's see if we can unstuck you in some way today in this conversation. So let's go through it together and tell me where you get stuck. Okay. So Guruji's beautiful story of the three birds. So the first bird is the bodily movement, activity, all of that. So it's clear, isn't it? Now
Yeah.
you are perceiving it through senses, through sight, sound, taste, touch, smell. You see, all this perception, you see. So this being that is perceiving all of this movement through these sensory perception, that is also clear as a second bird.
Yes.
That's also clear. Very good. Very good. Now, that which is aware of sight and sound and taste and touch and smell cannot be called any of those, no? Cannot be called sight or sound. It is just aware. It is not, does not have the quality of perception like sight, sound, any of these. You can just take a minute, please check on that.
Yes, it is same like Guruji says that there is no juice. So I resemble that. There is nothing, if you compare the worldly taste or any kind of assumption, there is nothing. It's kind of blank, but it's not that blank which you were saying that there is no dark or light. It's just, is it kind of.
Very good, very good. So can you see that the second bird also comes and goes for you? Like sight goes, no? So let's do this experiment together. Imagine for a moment, but waking state is there, so you can't really do it unless I make you sleep or something. But let's see if we can just notice something. Suppose one by one, all these senses started to go. So sight went away, sight is gone, hearing is going, hearing is also gone, touch is going, gone, smell, taste, both are also gone. So all perception is gone. But the awareness which was aware of each of these modalities of sensing, that has remained untouched, isn't it?
Yes.
And that which has remained, at what distance is it from you?
It's just a presence. I mean, there is no distance.
There is no distance. This that remains, does it have even the quality of presence or absence?
I mean, when
I can give you another question to make it simpler. That which is aware even of the presence, it is aware without the need for sight, sound, taste, touch, smell, isn't it? It is just aware of the presence.
Yes.
So that which is aware, is it dependent on the presence in any way?
No, it is presence.
Yes. So
it's not.
Yes.
dependent on, yeah.
So presence that you are speaking of, is it that presence which has an opposite of absence, like being and not being? Is it that presence? Or is it the presence of that which is beyond these qualities also?
It appears like it is always there.
It's always there. It's always there. And if I was to say that even the qualitative taste of being was to go away, you see, then even that you would still remain to notice that there is absolutely nothing here now. No taste, no quality, no attribute, no guna at all left.
Yeah.
You see? So this
Yes.
is the third word. This is the third word. You're not stuck.
But when we go into worldly activity, we kind of lost it.
Okay, let's try to lose it. Try to do some activity that you lose it. Shake your hand, shake your feet, shake your head. See what you can do so you lose it.
Not at this moment, but I mean, when totally engaged into worldly activity, kind of working or doing.
So now before next Friday, you try in those to get totally engaged in world activity and lose awareness. Will you do this homework?
Yes.
Then you will actually, I can already help you, but good to experiment anyway. But you will notice that actually in my reality never go away. I'm always there. It is just because the memory is a repository of manifest images. So we feel like, okay, when I was fully in that, then awareness was not there or something like that. But even that is strange, because then if awareness was not there, then how do you know that happened? Okay. So what may be happening is that the mind may be telling us that if you were aware, then all that would not happen. You would not get lost in worldly activity. See? But even the being lost and not being lost in worldly activity, awareness remains untouched by that. You could go through a million lifetimes being fully involved in the activity of the world, but your reality stays as it is. Awareness wants nothing out of the person or the what we take ourselves to be. But the trouble is the me wants something out of the discovery of awareness. That something should stop happening to me, or I should not get caught up in something. Is it? And that itself will keep us caught up. When we have like a benchmark or a standard that then our body mind's life has to live, you see, then it can feel like, you see, that's a mind trick, which is convincing you that if you are truly coming to the third bird, then how can you still be getting so involved or angry or whatever? You see, but that is nonsense, no? Because all of that movement is on the screen of being. It has nothing to do with the witness of that. Which is what the whole story of the three birds is about. It's like once you find that you are the third bird, how does that change the life of the first bird? That is the additional question that the mind gives. The master never gives.
Yeah, it doesn't change actually. It
doesn't have
remains
to
same.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that is why the Zen example of before enlightenment, chopping wood, fetching water, after enlightenment, chopping wood, fetching water, because the bird will only do the bird stuff. No, what else? will it do? So, but I want to say that sometimes the life does change, but it could go either way. So that's why I say chopping wood, fetching water before, and chopping wood, fetching water after, or not. Like we can't really say, because sometimes we can make this idea also that it should remain the same. You see? Then that can be a forced idea. See, it doesn't have to be. The body will only do sitting, standing, and lying down. No? And what else will it do? The bird can only do these things. So once you are discovering that you are not the body mind, don't expect that the body mind something should change. The mind hates that because it's like, then what was the point of all of this? There was no point for you.
Thank you, Guruji. I don't have to say anything more.
Very good, very beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your openness while we were looking. It is very beautiful. Very good. Thank you. Can we call it a night? I've had a long day. I've been working since 5 in the morning. I'm just appealing to your forgiveness for the rest of your hands that are up. This okay. You can sing, my dear.
Hello. Thank you, Father.
Oh, we love your singing. We love it.
And I also want to give this to my grandfather. I'm
Yeah.
in his hometown now. And yeah, this one is from again Yunus Emre.
I see.
And yeah, I had the privilege to visit his tomb. Actually, I just learned that his tomb is in my hometown. So my grandfather also gave me this gift of Yunus Emre. So this is for you. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Hak bir gönül verdi bana, ha demeden hayran olur. Bir dem gelir şadan olur. Bir dem gelir iriyan olur. Bir dem sanasın kış gibi şolu zemheri olmuş gibi bir dem beşaretten doğar. Hoş ile bostan olur hey hey. Hoş ile bostan olur dost. Bir dem gelir söyleyemez Bir sözü şer eyleyemez, bir dem dilinden dürü döker, dertlilere derman olur. Bir dem çıkar arş üzere, bir dem iner tahte sera, bir dem sana sın katredir, bir dem taşar umman olur. Hey, hey, hey. Bir dem taşar umman olur. Dost. Bir dem varır mescitlere, yüz sürer anda yerlere. Bir dem varır deyre girer, İncil okur ruhban olur. Bir dem gelir İsa gibi, ölmüşleri diri kılar. Bir dem girer kibrevine, firan ile aman olur. Hey, hey, hey. Firan ile aman olur dost. Bir dem döner Cebrail'e, rahmet saçan her mahfile. Bir dem gelir gümrah olur, miskin Yunus hayran olur. Bir dem döner Cebrail'e, rahmet saçar her mahfile. Bir dem gelir gümrah olur, miskin Yunus hayran olur. Hey, hey, hey. Miskin Yunus hayran olur. Oh. Miskin Yunus hayran olur. Miskin Yunus hayran olur.
Very beautiful. Yeah. Thank you all so much for being in Satsang today. Sadhguru Moji Baba ki Jai.
Sadhguru Ji Ananda Ji ki Jai.
Guru Kripa Kevalam.